Bring it in for a Tuesday edition of The Sweat presented by DraftKings. Jesse Cofield to my left, Emerson Latzia to her right, and we're about to do that thing you like for the next 55 minutes.
Yeah, so where will Lamar Jackson end up after demanding a trade? What are you, the LeBron James? Plus best bets on the links and top DFS plays around the NHL.
All right, first things first, just 2 more sleeps until opening day around Major League Baseball. So it is time now for a Tuesday tradition unlike any other, the Takeoff with Jared Carabas. Good morning. How are you, sunshine?
I didn't realize that we were going to be matching today. I didn't know that we were going to go like gray DraftKings attire. So congratulations on matching with me today.
Dude, these are our grout fits, man.
I'm happy for you guys.
Thank you very much. Good stuff. Anywho, hey, Jared, Red Sox opening day roster just about set. What stands out to you right now when you look at this group?
I think some people were surprised that Jorge Alfaro didn't make the roster and Connor Wong made it, and you had Bobby Dahlbeck getting optioned, which shouldn't be a super surprise when you have Tristan Casas in the fold. I know we've talked a lot about him. He was one of my first legal sports betting picks in the state of Massachusetts. Tristan Casas being the rookie of the year on a team with Masataka Yoshida, who has better odds to be rookie of the year. I think, you kind of look at this roster. There's a lot of, I guess, veteran presence, to say it politely. There's a lot of old guys on this team, Emerson. There's a lot of old guys on this team. But yeah, I mean, I think there's not a ton of like, wow, can't believe that guy didn't make it, or wow, I can't believe that guy made the team. But that was kind of the topic of conversation on Red Sox Twitter yesterday, was how Jorge Alfaro did not make the team.
All right, well, speaking of guy who's not old, Yankees top prospect Anthony Volpe makes the team 21, youngest player in New York's opening day lineup since Derek Jeter more than 25 years ago.
Damn.
So, Jared, what impact do you expect him to have this season?
I think he's going to make a huge impact because not only is he talented, but he's one of those spark plug guys. And we kind of talked about this with the Yankees last year where, yeah, they had talent, but there was no spark. Like, there was no attitude. There was no personality. And we thought that Josh Donaldson entering the fold for the Yankees last year was going to be that edge that they needed to finally get over the hump and win their first World Series title since the invention of the iPad. But I think with Anthony Volpe, now you have a guy he's young, he's talented, and the fans almost, I don't want to say willed this to happen, but there was a groundswell enough to where the Yankees would have looked egregiously stupid if Volpe didn't make the opening day roster. I mean, it was obvious. You have IKF, who fans do not love in the Bronx, and then you have this young stud where it's like, are we trying to win or not? Because you get to the postseason every single year, and then you get snuffed out by the Houston Astros every single year. You're kind of going backwards in terms of your strides towards a World Series title. You didn't win a game against Houston in the American League Championship Series last October. So yeah, I think if the Yankees are serious about winning and putting the best roster on the opening day field, then yeah, you've got to go Volpe there, and they did.
Dude, had a hell of a spring too, and then they got him, I believe batting 9th in the opening day lineup there, which is actually the same spot in the lineup where Derek Jeter was when he was a rookie shortstop, when he was slotted back in '96. Yeah, fun fact there, Jared. Hey, looking elsewhere around Major League Baseball, any other guys around the league who made a big league roster, who we should be excited about, who we should have an eye on? What excites you?
Yeah, I mean, not to kind of like go with the whole homegrown thing here, but I don't know if you saw the walk-off home run that Tristan Casas hit the other night.
Oh yeah,
I believe it was against the Atlanta Braves. I feel like it's weird because regionally it's almost cool to I guess not love the Red Sox or to say that they're not going to be a good team. Then nationally, I think, yesterday I tweeted something to the effect of, we're X amount of days away from Boston Red Sox baseball. And the amount of hate that was pouring in, people saying, well, they're not really a good team. And I've seen all the MLB power rankings, and you have like the top 10 teams, the top 15 teams, and all these projections and everything. The Red Sox don't even show up on the radar for any of this stuff. Casas is going to be one of the most exciting young players in the game this year. I think we saw it when he played for Team USA. Then he gets his cup of coffee last year in the big leagues. He takes Garrett Cole deep, and you saw the power this spring. right in our own backyards, we have a kid that I don't want to say was handed the job. He's not handed the job, but I think coming into spring training, the Red Sox made the decision, regardless of what this kid does in spring, that's your first baseman. So it's not a surprise that he made the team, but that is a young star that is in the making, where it's like, you need to plug in and watch what he does this season, because I think he's going to, I don't want to say make himself a household name year one, but you're going to get to see the process, the beginning, the first chapter of a player who eventually will make himself a household name in Major League Baseball.
All right, well, we're going to wrap up our division previews with the NL East. Phillies plus 425, third best behind the Braves and Mets. So do you think that's a fair number for a team that was in the World Series last year? And who do you have winning the division?
Yeah, so I think it's fair. The Phillies were the number 6 seed going into the playoffs. It's the perfect example of all you got to do is get in, because the teams that get in, if you get hot at the right time, you can end up in the World Series. The Phillies, I want to say, because we talked about this on the podcast yesterday, but we kind of extrapolated their win total over the number of games after they fired Joe Girardi. And I think it was like a 98 win pace or something like that. So they are a really good team. They did lose Rhys Hoskins. That's super unfortunate. But I don't think that that's something that sets them back. They're not going to have Bryce Harper, at least to start in the first half. Maybe he comes back in the second half at some point. But having Rhys Hoskins and Bryce Harper not as a part of your lineup, that is a big blow for the Phillies. They're not this great defensive squad. They do have decent starting pitching. Nola is an absolute stud at the top of their rotation. But losing a guy like Rhys Hoskins and not having Bryce Harper to start the year, that's probably why you're, especially in that division. Like, their odds would be drastically different in several other divisions in baseball. But when you're in the same division as the Atlanta Braves and the New York Mets, that's kind of why.
I mean, Nola's part of that smorgasbord of Cy Young candidates, too, in this division. Verlander, Scherzer, Strider, Fried. And then the list of potential MVPs is a long one as well. A couple top dudes there, Jared, Acuna, Turner, Alonso. Who was the best player in this division?
Ooh.
Yeah,
A
damn
lot
right.
to
Yeah.
choose from.
Yeah, real loaded there, pal.
Woo.
Real loaded.
You know what? I think I'm gonna go a pitcher here.
Okay, that's okay.
That's not something that I would normally do. I mean, if you follow me on Twitter, I'm tweeting home runs. Like, I'm not like a...
Bro,
like,
you're the Rocket. You're the Rocket.
But I leave the pitching to Pitching Ninja. That's his turf.
Okay.
And like, home runs is my turf, and we respect each other's turf. But I'm gonna go pitcher here. I'm gonna go Spencer Strider. Like, this
Nice.
dude punches out batters at an astronomical rate, which is very hard to do. Spencer Strider at plus 950 right there. You kidding me? That's more of a health thing than anything else, because the talent is all there, and he is I don't want to call him a generational talent, but he is one of the best, if not the best, to do it in terms of strikeouts.
Okay, so then answer me this as well. Where does the NL East rank among best divisions in baseball?
Oh man. I mean, the AL East is certainly up there. Like John Henry said it himself. If you finish 500 in this division, you could be in last place. The NL East, I mean, you've got the Marlins in there, you've got the Nats in there. So I don't know. I still think that the AL East is the best division. But if you want to talk like talent, the AL West, like, no one's talking about it because like the teams aren't great. But when you're talking about Shohei Ohtani and Mike Trout and then the entire Houston Astros, I would say if you were to grade it out, like how much talent is here, there's a lot of talent in the AL West, but then the Oakland A's kind of drag it down. But the most talented, best division in baseball is the American League East.
And now Trout's teaming up with Tiger Woods to build a golf course in New Jersey. I mean, the guy can do it all.
Yeah, scintillating stuff.
Yeah, Tiger Woods and Mike Trout. That's quite the combo. Also, have you ever seen Mike Trout like at a Topgolf before?
No. My guess is he's mashing piss missiles over the net.
Yeah. He's like, it's like laugh out loud funny how far he can hit a golf ball.
It's like Mike Trout is the Tiger Woods of baseball, and Tiger Woods is the Mike Trout of golf, at least back when Tiger Woods was healthy.
Yeah, many moons ago.
Many moons ago.
Jared, what's your hot take for the NL East?
Oh, damn.
Ooh, hot take for the NL East. I don't know how sizzling it is, but I have the Atlanta Braves as the team with the most wins in baseball. I think they will be the only 100-win team in 2023 that will belong to the Atlanta Braves.
Oh. Okay. I mean, they basically stopped losing games in the second half of last season. So maybe they can continue that. Okay, before you take off, what can we expect from the podcast this week? It's obviously a huge week with opening day, so what do you got cooking?
So we're back to 2 podcasts a week.
Sweet.
Yesterday, we dropped our first of 2 prediction pods. We went through and picked our playoff teams. We went through division by division. We talked about every single team. So if you're a fan of a team of, let's say, I don't know, the Nats or the Cubs or the Pittsburgh Pirates, we still talked about your team. So tune in if you're a fan of one of those teams. We hit on all of them. But our next episode, which will be dropping before opening day, that will cover all of the awards. We're going to go through award season and make all our predictions there as well.
All right, good stuff, Jared. Thank you.
We're
going to let you go now, but we're going to see you tomorrow for our opening day preview.
Oh, yeah.
And speaking of opening day previews, if you want to get an edge this 2023 MLB season, you got to check out the MLB betting guide that VSiN puts out. So check it out at vsin.com/subscribe. So the guides are only for subscribers, but VSiN will get you on board for $9.99, and then you get the guide, all the other great shows, articles, resources that they offer every day. It's really, really good stuff, so make sure you sign up for that.
All right, we're going to dive into tonight's NBA slate coming up, but first we have to get to something LeBron James said this week that has inspired the Gojo boys to look closely at themselves. Here is Mike Golick Jr. and Brandon Newman.
After the game, he told reporters that 2 doctors told him that he should get surgery that would end his play for the rest of the season. He would be out in surgery. But then he went and saw, as he said, the LeBron James of feet. Okay, and the LeBron James of feet told him that he should not get surgery, and that's why he's there playing, ready to help the Lakers make the playoffs this season. So shouts out to LeBron James of feet. Shouts out to LeBron James people getting LeBron James' feet connected to LeBron James so we can get LeBron James out there. Listen, I know they lost to the Bulls as 118 to 108, but without LeBron James' 19 points, how bad would that have been? You know? So shouts out to the King.
This is a lot like LeBron passing Kareem in the game where they got dropped by Oklahoma City. Like these moments where we're like, oh, LeBron's finally coming back, and it's bad still. Are definitely there. Yeah, but you are right. He gets a pass for giving us the phrase, the LeBron James of feet, and playing coy about it. I know Dave McMenamin tried to ask him what country the LeBron James of feet hails from, and LeBron basically sidestepped all of that, refusing to name names on the doctor. But it did prompt the idea, Brandon, like, what are you the LeBron James of? I have always maintained that I am the LeBron James of sweating heavily on airplanes. I'm phenomenal at it. I do it incredibly naturally. You could argue I'm the chosen one of that. I would also add I am the LeBron James of Dragon Ball Z sports references and comps. I think I do that at a better level than anybody in the game. And I would also throw, which we'll get to when I do the Taylor Swift concert review, I am the LeBron James of pacing my pee at big events.
Oh, really? You're cognizant of that?
Built different.
Okay. I'm probably the LeBron James of ordering at a fast food restaurant. I'm probably the LeBron James of eating one big meal a day, but enough calories to consume like how much you should eat in an entire day. I'm a LeBron James of making my kids food. I'll tell you what, oof, boy, when I get to cooking, they're like, Daddy, these tacos. Oh, boy. So anyways, there's a bunch of other things I'm a LeBron James of, not being prepared for podcasts, but still doing them. There's just like a bunch of things that I feel like I can hold that mantle to.
Guys, if you don't know by now, download the Gojo podcast wherever you get your audio. You can also check them out live here on The Sweat tomorrow and every Wednesday. Something tells me we're going to be talking more LeBron and a lot more Taylor Swift tomorrow. But right now, we have our NBA panel here in studio. DraftKings contributors Nick Fryer, Jeff Pratt. Pleasure to have you guys here. Obviously, you saw the LeBron James of feet moment. Who hasn't seen it by now? So, Nick, what are you the LeBron James of?
This is a complicated question because I feel like you always think about what you're the best at. So, like, right. I guess, well, what's LeBron James the best of, other than hyping himself up? But I will say, the one thing that I'm probably best at, I would say LeBron James of waking up right before my alarm goes off. It's like clockwork. Pardon the pun. That was not intentional, but it's just so frustrating every morning. But I will also add, too, that I know Emerson's not here to talk with us right now, but Emerson is the LeBron of bothering coworkers while they're on vacation.
Oh, yeah. He's the LeBron James of a lot of negative things. He is not here, though. Jeff, what are you the LeBron James of?
Well, I was going to say I'm the LeBron James of annoying Emerson, but he's not here to defend himself.
Yeah.
I'd say I'm the LeBron James of Markelle Fultz film studies.
That was kind of a sick burn on yourself, Jeff.
Thank you. What? It's not a burn.
You said
Fultz,
you're the LeBron James of annoying Emerson.
Yeah.
You called yourself really annoying.
Well, no, only when it comes to annoying Emerson.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm not annoying other than that. But I feel like if you can annoy Emerson at a high rate, you're doing everyone else a service in society.
Yeah.
Is she defending
You're
Emerson?
not wrong.
Are you defending Emerson?
No, I just thought it was hysterical that you just sick burned yourself.
Oh, thank you.
You're like, I'm super
did they give
annoying.
me
That's
the
what I'm
sick
the
burn?
best at.
Yeah.
All right, guys, let's talk some NBA. So Doncic and the Mavs spiraling. I mean,
Yeah.
Is it Kyrie's fault? I'm just reminded of the Grim Reaper coming to the door of all the teams. Like, I mean, at this point, Jeff, can you look at this team and say, it's not Kyrie's fault? I mean, are they even going to make the playoffs?
So from an on-court perspective, it is Kyrie Irving's fault. It's easy to say. They've been horrible since he's arrived. He's already been clapping back at fans. It's classic Kyrie. But I'm actually going to pass up on the opportunity to go off on Kyrie, as enticing as it is, because this is more on the Mavericks front office, and specifically GM Nico Harrison. What were you thinking? You have a player with the highest usage rate in the league, one of the highest usage rates in the league, in Luka Doncic, and your offensive system revolves around him, and the ball needs to be in his hands. And you decide that you're going to go out and get another ball-dominant guard who has a track record of consistently torpedoing his teams. In what universe was that going to work out? And then you have the audacity to go to reporters and say, I see no risk in making this trade. I actually see risk in not making this trade. Now your superstar is really frustrated. Luka Doncic is saying that for the first time in his basketball career, he's not having fun out there, which is understandable because the Mavs are playing horrible basketball. You're likely going to lose Kyrie Irving for nothing in free agency, so you traded away assets to get him for nothing. And you're either going to miss the playoffs, or if you make the playoffs, you're probably going out in the first round, because I don't see this team beating anyone in a 7-game series. So it's more on Nico Harrison, Mark Cuban, the Mavericks front office, because you know what you're getting with Kyrie.
Yeah, Nick, on January 14th, Dallas was in 5th place in the Western Conference, half a game behind Sacramento. Today, Mavs are in 11th place in the West, half a game behind OKC for a spot in the play-in game format.
I mean, it's a legitimate shot that they don't make the postseason.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the whole thing with the West too. That there's no like one team where like when you look from East versus West. I think the East you have 2 title contenders there. The West you have a few teams that are in the mix. So it's not great for the Mavericks. But also I think Jeff put it really well. How do you go and add a guy who's a ball dominant guard and can't play defense to a team that you already have all that? So how is that going to help your situation? It was an odd move. Yes, from I guess a simpler standpoint, you put 2 stars together on a team that was doing well already. You add another star to the mix. It is kind of odd to see this, but right now, I can very much see the Mavericks not making the postseason, not even making the play-in tournament.
All right, well, let's move to tonight's 8-game slate. So, Pratt on Sportsbook, Nick on DFS. Nick, who are you going to pay up for tonight?
Yeah, so there's only so many guys, really, obviously with a smaller slate. What's a 6-game slate? And you got, SGA, who's questionable. Tatum's back after Brown went off the other day, but they're, playing the Wiz. So that could end up turning into a blowout spot. There's quite a few other high-priced guys that aren't in matchups that I really like, but I do like Brandon Ingram tonight at 8.8K going up against the Warriors. He's got 40-plus DK fantasy points in New Orleans last 6 games, 59-plus in 2 of those 3 games, and then in 2 of the 3 games that he's played the Warriors this season, he's exceeded 40 DK fantasy points as well, and they don't do really all that well against opposing forwards. Another guy, too, who's not really in the high price range, but also not a value play either, is Jalen Williams. If SGA is out, I like him a lot at 6.7K going up against Charlotte. He's done really well in the last 4 games that SGA hasn't played.
What do you think, Jeff? Which spread do you like? So Celtics Wizards, biggest one at 11.5 right now.
Yeah, no spread really jumps out to me on tonight's slate, but one matchup that does draw me in is the Magic taking on the Grizzlies. And Memphis seems to have turned a bit of a corner. They've won 6 straight games. The offense is really looking strong. They're heading into the postseason on a high note as of now. But I'm actually going to pick against them in this matchup. It feels like this is a potential letdown spot. You look at the teams the Grizzlies have played over that recent win streak. It's not as impressive as you may think at first. They got the Rockets twice, the Spurs, the Mavericks without Luka Doncic. The competition certainly could have been tougher. So you got the Magic coming to town tonight. You may think at first, okay, this is another easy win, but you'd be wrong. This Magic team is playing great basketball. They've covered in 6 straight games. They're riding a 3-game win streak of their own. And this team is better ATS on the road than they are at home. So 7 points just feels a little too large. I'll roll with the Magic to cover, even though Memphis is playing good basketball right now.
All right, Nick, we got to find some value here. You mentioned 6-game slate. Is there a lot to choose from that you see, or kind of slim pickings like the high value guys were?
There are some good options. There's one guy who jumps out a little bit more than most. It's actually in the game that Jeff's talking about, but on the other side of things, Tyus Jones, 5.3K going up against the Magic. Ja Morant is doubtful. Even if Ja somehow ends up playing, I still do like Jones, but that is going to hurt his ceiling in this one. So right now, in his last 3 games, he's exceeded 5x value, but of course Ja has been back in the mix. In the games that Ja Morant was out, that was a 9-game stretch. He exceeded 50 DK fantasy points 3 times. He had 30 DK fantasy points on 3 other occasions. So at 6 out of those 9 games, he provided at least 5 times value. And then we're seeing the shot volume too when Ja came back. While we're seeing the minutes go down, the shot volume has still pretty much been the same for Tyus Jones. So now you add a little more minutes to, he should be able to get to his ceiling performance tonight against the Magic.
Jeff, is there a game total that you like here? Lowest on the board right now, Heat and Raptors at 220.
Yeah, we usually have at least one inflated game total on each slate, and my strategy tends to be targeting that total and going under, but that's not really the case tonight. We're not in the 240s in any of these games. All of these numbers seem pretty reasonable, so I'm actually going to highlight. Hello, Emerson. How are you? I'm actually going to highlight one of the higher totals and take over 234 in Pelicans Warriors. When you take a quick look at the track record for both of these teams regarding the game total, it doesn't look great. 5 of the last 6 games involving the Pelicans have actually gone under, but it's not their fault. New Orleans has scored 115 plus points in 5 straight games. The Warriors have scored 119 plus points in 8 of their last 9 games. So it's not on them. It's about their opponents. These games are going under because their opponents are failing to keep pace. But if the Warriors and Pelicans can maintain their offensive form, I think this one has potential to go way over 234, maybe even get up into the 250s.
All right, good stuff, guys. Appreciate it, as always. As you may have figured out by now, Emerson Lotze is, in fact, here in the studio. And he's got a little
Billy
something to say.
is so upset with me right now.
He's got a little something to say about Lamar wanting out.
Yeah, because Lamar Jackson, this saga has reached an entirely new level right now. The quarterback announcing yesterday on Twitter that he wants a request, that he wants a trade. He has requested a trade from the Ravens organization, which the Ravens have not been interested in meeting his value. So the question is, what other team out there around the NFL is interested in meeting the value that Lamar Jackson thinks that he has? Jeff Ulrich, Pierce Dietrich, welcome in. Let's make sense of all of this in our As the League Turns segment. So what are the chances the Ravens actually honor this trade request, Pierce?
Why would they? I mean,
that's a good question.
Why are you, look, if they can get something out in return for him, but Lamar could have signed with anyone, and no one wanted him. No one wants to give up a bunch of draft picks for Lamar Jackson. They just, there's various reasons why you may underappreciate or devalue Lamar, but the league had a chance to pick him up. No one wanted him. And now Lamar is saying, hey, you got to trade me to somebody. Well, who are we going to trade you to, Lamar? No one wanted you. You're stuck with us. You should have signed your deal. It's just a mess. This is all Lamar's fault at this point. There's no more excuses that can be made. You want to talk collusion, fine, whatever. Look, if there was a place for him, he would be there. There isn't. So it's either Baltimore or on his couch.
Okay, well, the Colts, by the way, Jeff, you mentioned yesterday as a potential destination that could make sense, could be a good fit for Lamar Jackson. So currently they have the second best odds of landing his services. I think the Falcons were atop that list. We just had the odds pulled up. Here they are actually coming right now, plus 250. What's funny is, Jeff, the Falcons have been like, nah, we're good. Commanders said, nah, we're good. Haven't really heard anything from the Titans. And then the Jets are still trying to get the whole Aaron Rodgers thing worked out. So are the Colts still your favorite pick right now?
I mean, look, in terms of betting odds, I would definitely lean towards the Colts. I mean, the Colts have been the team that have sat back and kind of let things develop this offseason. They haven't made a move up to get past fourth in the draft, so maybe they're just waiting to see who drops to them there. But they also have been one of the teams who haven't come out and said, oh, we're not going to enter into contract negotiations with Lamar Jackson. And I take disagreement with what Pierce said in terms of this is Lamar's fault. The Baltimore Ravens have had opportunities to lock Lamar Jackson up to a long-term contract. They haven't done it. This is a bed that they've helped create as well. And I think that there's a lot of other teams that should be interested in this. And I think that part of the problem so far is that teams don't necessarily want to sign him to a contract offer. I think that this result that this Lamar has now come out and said, I have requested a trade, may actually result in some teams getting back in this. I don't know why the Atlanta Falcons wouldn't be interested in Lamar Jackson. They have a top wide receiver in Drake London. They have an ultimate weapon in Kyle Pitts. They have a lead running back in Tyler Algier. They have everything set for them in a weak division. You add Lamar Jackson to that team, they're probably going to win the NFC South. That is the goal of all NFL teams, to win your division. So Atlanta needs to be in on this. I'm hopeful that maybe this trade request will now loosen up some of these teams and get them realizing that this is a player they should probably be going after. But as of now, I don't know how you can't count the Colts as the favorite, just because what they've done so far this offseason has been to put themselves in a position to potentially take advantage of this situation.
I mean, Pierce, they've had a different week one starter in each of the past 4 seasons. Talking about the Colts here, they need that long-term answer at quarterback. Been searching for it since Andrew Luck's surprise retirement. Where would you like to see Lamar Jackson go?
I don't really care, to be honest, where he's going to go. I think the Colts are interesting, but they've been pretty much cursed with poor quarterback play. And, you put Lamar on that team, I wouldn't be surprised to see him not do very much. And I think maybe we're overreacting to, this might be a hot take, but I don't know if Lamar Jackson is as good as we want to say that he is. You start to pull away the different variables and look at his performances. He had a great offensive line. He had great running backs. He had above average wide receivers, a good defense. And oh, by the way, the years where he really produced, the AFC North was terrible. The Browns were terrible. The Bengals were terrible. It was not a good division. As the division improved and as his team and his surrounding cast kind of got a little bit weaker, his numbers have dropped off. He's just not worth the money you want to pay. I mean, you put him on the Falcons, cool, awesome. You're going to go to the playoffs and maybe one and done, and you've mortgaged the future and gotten rid of your draft pick. Same thing for the Colts. They've made so many poor offseason moves. Do they really want to do this again? How many times are they going to go out there and just pick up the wrong guy at the wrong time? They need to rebuild. The Falcons need to slowly rebuild. I don't think Lamar Jackson is the spot for those guys. Either not playing or going back to the Ravens is what's going to happen.
Well, hold on, Pierce. I mean, I know you're a huge Meek Mill guy, and he's texting Robert Kraft, hey, Lamar Jackson has told me he wants to play for the Patriots. How much sense do the Patriots make here, man? They've been linked to Lamar throughout these months of his contract dispute with the Ravens.
They did go with the rushing quarterback a couple seasons ago, and it worked out for about 3 games, and then that kind of hit the fan pretty quickly.
Okay.
Look, the Patriots have a bunch of issues as well, so I don't know if this is really going to make them much better. They need to slowly rebuild too.
If there's no Lamar in Baltimore next year, Jeff Ulrich, where does that put the Ravens? I believe their regular season win-loss total, so win record, 8.5. 8.5 is the number of regular season wins that's listed on the DK Sportsbook right now.
Yeah, it puts them under that. They went 8. The Ravens have gone 8-14 with Lamar Jackson since he's obviously come to town when he's not been able to start a game. They went 0-5 last year, 2 years ago when Lamar Jackson suffered an ankle injury. They've averaged right around 20 points on offense, which is actually more than I thought it would be, versus around 27 when Lamar Jackson has been in the game. Now, look. This is all obviously Lamar Jackson is an elite quarterback, regardless of if Pierce thinks he's like top 5 or if he's worth the money. He's better than most options at quarterback on any day of the week. I think we can at least agree on that. what doesn't maybe make sense for the Ravens right now is whether they actually want to keep Lamar Jackson. I could actually understand that conversation. This is a roster with the Ravens. It's the 8th oldest in the league. They still had a pretty elite defense last year. They're top 12 in DVOA, but offensive line issues. They don't have any depth at any of the other skill positions on offense. Now they're bringing in a new OC. I don't know if Lamar Jackson actually makes sense for the Ravens to keep, but they also need to, take the step forward where they are admitting that they're going to give up on him and rebuild. They don't seem to want to do that right now. So the Ravens, to me, are in a huge no man's land if they get rid of Lamar Jackson, because they haven't committed to any other sort of plan. They seem hell-bent on just getting him back somehow and then running this new offense. But this new offense, which apparently is going to be more passing-based under the new OC, is going to be operating without any true number 1 wide receiver, and Nelson Aguilar potentially as a number 2 wide receiver. So I don't really see how this works out for Baltimore other than them having a terrible year, being in a tough division with the Bengals and Browns and even the Steelers, who are on the up and up with Kenny Pickett now.
Yeah, Pierce, I know you just said you believe he's going to either be in Baltimore or on his couch, but let's just say he's not in Baltimore. He's not on his couch. How much trouble are the Ravens in without Lamar Jackson under center right now? With what? Tyler Huntley is the next man up.
Well, I think that's the best case scenario for look. If they can kiss and make up, then that probably is the best situation, and that can happen. It just takes a boatload of cash. Now, if they don't do the boatload of cash, then the next best scenario is Lamar Jackson finds a landing spot. And Jeff said that he believes now with this trade talk, we could possibly see him go somewhere else. And, I think that's actually not a bad idea. Yeah, the division is getting better, but Harbaugh is a great coach. He always gets a lot out of this team. If they can get several draft picks and they're going to completely rebuild this offense, then maybe they don't compete this year. They still are going to be a decent team, but 2 to 3 years, you start to rebuild. You get some receivers in there. You switch away from this run-heavy offense, and the run-heavy offense might be kind of the problem: the durability, dependability issues. You lose your quarterback, you lose your running back, you're toast. It's a passing league. I think it's a smart choice. They just need the draft picks to get there, and they can get those draft picks by shipping Lamar out of town.
Jeff, some say, hey, Jets, go get Lamar, because this Aaron Rodgers thing is taking forever, dude. They're reportedly, the two sides are making progress here. Who would you rather have if you're the Jets under center, Aaron Rodgers or Lamar Jackson?
This has a ton of variables associated with it. Contract, term, everything. If I'm taking a shot 1 year, let's do the 1 year scenario. Who do I want for the Jets next season? I actually do want Aaron Rodgers. I think that Aaron Rodgers is still an elite quarterback. I know he definitely didn't have the greatest season last year, but this is a player who was MVP 2 years in a row. He's going to be going to a team where he's going to be well supported by a defense that is top 10 in a lot of metrics last season. He's going to have a legitimate run game. Breece Hall, Michael Carter back there. And obviously, he's going to have a lot of support with a pretty elite wide receiver cast, obviously anchored by Garrett Wilson, but also now some of his best friends from Green Bay, part of the equation too. But I think it's Aaron Rodgers for the Jets next season. I think that they have built around getting Aaron Rodgers. They want that veteran quarterback back there. They want their defense to carry it a little bit, and they want Aaron Rodgers just to make some plays when he can. So to me, 1 year scenario, give me Aaron Rodgers if I'm a Jets fan for sure.
All right, Pierce, you have the Packers GM saying yesterday he was asked any chance Rodgers plays for Green Bay again. Says not trending that way, but all options are on the table. Could this thing get messy here? Is it already messy?
I don't think it's messy. It's only messy because we're making it messy.
Yeah, you're damn right.
We've got to talk about something 24/7. It was Aaron Rodgers' famous quote of just relax, RELAX, just take it easy. Everything's going to work out. And that's clearly the approach here. There is no sense of urgency, and there shouldn't be. They're going to get this thing worked out before the draft happens. But even if they don't get it done by then, there's no reason to rush. It's not like Aaron Rodgers is going to be going through OTAs and doing preseason workouts. He doesn't do that anymore. Now, it would make sense for him to do that with a new team, but he's familiar with the offensive coordinator. I just don't think there's any urgency whatsoever from either of these parties to work out a deal. They're not that far apart. They just got to come a little bit closer to terms in terms of what draft picks are going to go where. It'll get worked out, but I'm sure that we're going to make it pretty messy over the next couple weeks.
Okay, I'm in. Buckle up, baby. Thanks, gentlemen. Your job here is done because we are going to shift gears to the NHL where, not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, but
5 teams have clinched their spots in the playoffs so far. So you got the Bruins, Hurricanes, Devils, Maple Leafs, and the Rangers. Obviously, Boston, been the best team in the league by far this season, already clinched the division title. They are the betting favorites, actually, at plus 380 to win the Cup. BTW, all these teams, obviously, in the Eastern Conference who have punched their tickets to the playoffs.
Yeah, because the West is, like, much more wide open. And we've talked to Jeff about it before, too, in terms of odds. Like, if you're looking for an NHL Stanley Cup future, the West may be the location to look because, again, it's not there's much more parity, I guess, in the West compared to the East.
Yeah, and someone who's going to help us figure out tonight's NHL slate, we're going to bring in NHL.com's Anna Dua. Anna, thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Good to see you. Good to see you. So you just heard us discuss a little bit about like the Bruins, how dominant they've been. I mean, unless you've been living under a rock, you're well aware of that. Hurricanes also in action tonight. It's been this historic run for Boston. We've seen the Hurricanes give the Bruins plenty of trouble throughout postseason and regular season. Who right now, which team is the biggest threat standing in the way of Boston and its latest Stanley Cup championship?
It's tough because, to be honest, I think the only thing standing in the way between Boston and the Stanley Cup is the President's Trophy curse, because this team has had a phenomenal year. But I'm taking a look at teams like the New York Rangers, who just clinched a playoff spot as well. They're a team that's really dangerous. Obviously added Patrick Kane at that trade deadline. They have one of the best, if not the best, goalies in the NHL with Igor Shesterkin, who's usually lights out during the playoffs. They almost made it last year, so I'm taking a look at them. The Carolina Hurricanes, they're a great team. They're a really well-coached team more than anything else, but they've had a lot of injuries that have really damaged their season, so I can see them making a run for it, but it's really tough. They have a lot to overcome.
All right, Anna, we have a juicy 10-game slate tonight, so who do you like at center?
Now I'll give Carolina some love. I really like Sebastian Aho. I think he's the go-to option there at 6,700 playing against Tampa. He's on a 3-game scoring streak right now, has 6 goals in his past 5 games. He's really stepped up for the Carolina Hurricanes down the stretch. He's been their most dominant player, really helping them come out with some of these wins, forcing overtimes, forcing shootouts, so he's my pick at center.
What about in the wings and things department? Who's atop your rankings tonight?
Now I'm going to the West. Victor Arvidsson of the Los Angeles Kings. I mean, what a run he's having at the moment. He has 5 goals, 7 points in just his past 3 games, had 8 shots on goal in his last games. The Kings are playing against the Calgary Flames. The last time these two teams met, Calgary allowed 8 goals, so I like Victor Arvidsson to keep his hot streak going.
All right, Anna, take us to the blue line. Erik Karlsson, the most expensive dude at 7,400. Everybody else under 7K. So do you want to pay up or can you save some money here?
I think save some money in returning back to Boston. Dmitry Orlov has only 1 point in his past couple of stretch. He's cooled down a little bit, but he had 7 shots on goal in his past 2 games, which has really impressed me. Boston's dealing with some injuries. We're kind of seeing where all these players fit into the lineup, who's going to be playing on which power play unit, but I think Dmitry Orlov has to take the next step up.
All righty, let's go to a value play. Right now, your favorite value play on this slate tonight is who and why?
I think we're overlooking the Philadelphia Flyers. This team right now is 4-0-1 in their past 5. They're going on a tiny bit of a heater down this stretch, and even though they're not a playoff team, there's a lot of value there. I'm particularly looking at Joel Farabee right now. He's at 3,500 playing against the Montreal Canadiens. He's on a 5-game point streak with 4 goals, 3 assists in the span at the moment. Either him or Morgan Frost, both of them are a good option against a Montreal team that's allowing the 5th most goals per game in the NHL.
All right, Anna, NCAA hockey is in the Frozen Four right now, which means players from eliminated teams can start signing NHL contracts. So can you give us some names you think that could make a fantasy impact down the stretch here?
This season, probably not a lot of impact, but in keeper leagues, there's definitely a couple of players I'm looking at. The go-to has to be Devin Levi of the Buffalo Sabres. He's going to be with the Sabres for the rest of this season. I don't know if he's going to get a start or not, but he's definitely going to be acclimatizing a little bit to that team over there in Buffalo. And what a career he had in the NCAA. He was among the save percentage leaders in both of his seasons. He was just a phenomenal goalie that they had over at Northeastern. Sean Farrell, another Boston hockey team, Harvard going to Montreal, so he signed his contract with them. them. So that's another player I'm looking at. I know all the New Jersey folks are anxiously awaiting to see what happens with Michigan and Luke Hughes, but right now those two are the big names.
And Adua, always a pleasure to have you on. Have a great rest of your Tuesday. We've got to take our final break of this show. When we come back, Valero Texas Picks. That is what we will deliver to you. 5 more sleeps until Masters Week is here.
Yo, DraftKings, y'all got the most ways to bet on NBA players. I'm hyped. Hitting props, that's my dog. Stack up buckets, blocks, and boards on my boy? Or superstar going one-on-one against another superstar? Oh, it's on. And all these bets are on my man's dedicated page? Now you spoiling me, DraftKings. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and bet $5 to win $150 in bonus bets on your team to win. Action so good, why bet anywhere else? That's my move. He used my move.
You know, betting without a game plan is a little like skating a giant ramp without helmet and pads. I wouldn't risk it. And I wouldn't bet without a game plan. DraftKings Sportsbook provides you with tools to set a realistic budget and time limits, so you're ready to bet responsibly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook and Casino apps to learn more about how you can practice safe bets.
This season, DraftKings Sportsbook is your place to bet on the greatest sport on ice. There's so many ways to get closer to the game. And with this latest offer, you can win big. Now that is deserving of some victory stick taps.
Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app, sign up with the promo code, and take advantage of this great offer.
And get in on the action with an official sports betting partner of the NHL.
With DraftKings Daily Fantasy Sports, you can play for millions with a lineup full of big NBA stars. Maybe you throw in a three-point specialist that's been around the league, seen a thing or two. You know, if you want. Download DraftKings and play for your share of millions. Action's so good, why play NBA anywhere?
Alrighty, 5 more sleeps before Masters Week is here. Before then, there is one last stop for the PGA Tour in Texas, which will require Jason Sobel and Len Hochberg to make Valero Texas Open picks right now. But as expected, many of the top players are opting to take a week of rest leading into this year's first major. For others, though, their final shot, their final chance to secure a spot in the field at Augusta National. So going off of that here, Jason Sobel, what's your favorite storyline this week, and why is it Ricky Fowler being in a win and in scenario?
Why don't you just answer the question for me, Emerson? That's exactly what it is. Ricky has now won a PGA Tour event in quite a while, but as you saw right there, he is right up there on the board as one of the favorites this week. I just think it's so difficult. And as you mentioned, there's one golden ticket left for the proverbial chocolate factory at Augusta National to get in next week. The winner, if it's not one of the 8 players in the field this week already qualified for the Masters, will get that final ticket. We saw 4 years ago, Corey Connors was a Monday qualifier, and 7 days later, the next Monday, he was at Augusta National playing a practice round. So that was really cool. JJ Spawn last year. Ricky Fowler has a chance to do it, but it's difficult to win on the PGA Tour. It's even more difficult to win when the only thing you're trying to do that week is win. That's all he's looking for. I like Ricky. I think he'll play well. I think it's a great storyline. I hope he's up there on the leaderboard and keeps those headlines going for a few days, but I just don't see him winning this week.
Len, what other storyline should we be aware of besides Ricky Fowler aiming to crack the Masters field?
That's certainly the big one. And I would like to say I'm disappointed you're seated for this segment, Emerson. You were up at the board last time. I thought we were about to get the weather or something. You looked good on the move. But yeah, Ricky Fowler, what would anything make Jay Monahan happier these days than to see Ricky Fowler become relevant again? Probably not very much. But the other guy I'm looking at is Matt Kuchar, who is just behind Fowler at 66th in the rankings and looked like last year he was going to disappear. He's age 44, 45, but you know, he did not play in the Masters last year, broke a long run. These guys, as they get older, they never know when their last Masters is going to be. Probably they're the last ones to know. But he was second here last year to J.J. Spawn. So he's got a real shot to win, and that would be an incredible story, not as incredible as Fowler, but a pretty good one as well.
Okay, Len, so this is like never really a strong field, but are you surprised that Spieth isn't playing this week? He's a Texas native. He won in 2021, frequently plays this event and has success. So how surprised are you he's sitting this one out?
Well, not really at all. This is a byproduct of the schedule. He played last week. He played 3 matches, almost a full 72 holes of tournament play in the match play. He's got the Masters next week. The following week, he's the defending champion at the RBC Heritage, and it's also a designated event. So he's not going to play 4 in a row. And this is what happens to these lesser non-designated tournaments. They take a hit. We saw how great a tournament could be, the Valspar, without a great field, but they had Jordan Spieth. If you get Jordan Spieth in your tournament, you're pretty good no matter who else is there. So no real surprise and a disappointment for the Valero people for sure.
Jason, you not surprised by this either?
No surprise whatsoever. As Len mentioned, the designated events have essentially added a few more starts to most of the top players, and they got to take a break somewhere. I know most of us look at it and say, they're playing golf. It's easy. I'd love to go out and play golf 4 days a week. Man, I ride around in a cart, get a little 6-pack on the back. That's not the kind of golf they're playing. It is taxing on their bodies, trust me, and they need some time off to not only rest, but to practice, prepare, and especially for the year's first major. So not a surprise whatsoever.
Hey, Jason, let's talk about who is teeing it up this week. And Hatton, do we have a clear picture of his health after that weird warm-up injury last week at the match play? Because the dude is the favorite and highest priced player in DFS.
Yeah, I'm not so sure about it, but yeah, I do not like Hatton this week. He is a full fade for me. He's never played this event before, and I feel like he's just added it to the schedule either to test himself out and see how that injury is, or maybe just get in a few rounds before he goes to Augusta National next week. But I don't like anything about it. What we've found from Tyrrell Hatton is, essentially, to use a poker term, he's got a tell. And Tyrrell Hatton's tell is, if he likes the golf course, he usually plays well. We saw it at Bay Hill. We saw it at TPC Sawgrass. If he doesn't like the golf course, well, he'll probably give it a one-digit salute at some point and not be very happy out there on the golf course, and will show us all how not happy he is on the golf course. He's never played TPC San Antonio, as I mentioned. I can't imagine this is going to be one of his favorites, that he goes out there and says, boy, what a great week. I love it here. I really want to play my best golf. And so he is a full fade for me, both on the betting board and in DFS.
Len, are you taking the same approach?
Yeah, I can't imagine he would be playing if his hand was bothering him. There are other ways to test it out than in a tournament golf. But, you know, the cynic in me also wonders that some of these guys that are there the week before the Masters, do they mind so much if they miss the cut? We get in 2 rounds, we get a little practice, then we go to Augusta. So, yeah, he's a dicey play this week, but he is the best guy in the field, and not even really close right now.
All right, guys, Fowler has better odds than Hideki, okay? But Hideki is the second highest priced golfer.
And Hideki's another dude who had the injury thing last week.
Exactly, he withdrew. So, like, what's going on here, Len?
When I went to write my Valero preview for RotoWire, I looked at last year's Valero preview, and it mentioned that Hideki Matsuyama had to pull out of the match play with a neck injury. This thing's been going on for more than a year. I don't think anyone can put any money with any confidence, or even without confidence, on Matsuyama. Like timing the stock market. He missed the cut at Riviera and Bay Hill, then was 5th at the Players, then pulled out of the match play. No part of Hideki. I don't know why he's here. Don't know why.
Jason, you don't know why he's here either?
I sort of know why he's there. He's trying to find something before the Masters, but I don't know if this is the right idea. And I will preface this by saying that Hideki has essentially been playing a giant game of 3-card Monty with all of us over the past year and a half, which is like, he shows that, hey, I'm kind of injured, I'm not playing great. We go, okay, we're going to fade him. And he goes, no, turn it around on you, okie doke, I'm going to finish top 5. That's exactly what he did last year. Len mentioned he withdrew from the match play and then finished
top 5 here at the Valero Texas Open. But then he starts playing well, and we kind of jump on Hideki. We say, okay, I like him. I'm going to back him. And all of a sudden, nope, pulls the okey doke again. And he's either hurt or he's just not playing well, missing cuts. I am just full fade on Hideki until I see some sort of consistency. If it burns me, it burns me. But I don't have a feeling that it will this week.
All right, Jay, with this event not featuring its usual like star-studded field, that could open the door for some mid-tier golfers to make a run at a victory, maybe some long shot guys. Who sits atop your long shot list right now?
Favorite long shot this week is a guy named Ben Martin, who doesn't get a whole lot of public acclaim, doesn't get into all the big events. All he does is play really good golf whenever he gets a chance to go play golf. And so he's finished inside the top 13 in 3 of his last 5 starts. Strokes gained with his irons on those approach shots. He's been positive against the field in 7 of his last 8. Played very well in Punta Cana last week, which I think has a little correlation to San Antonio this week, and the fact that the wind's going to blow at both of them. So Ben Martin's a guy at 100-1 I really like. A few other names. Thomas Dietrich is a guy on my list. Tyler Duncan is on my list. It's not quite a long shot, but Davis Riley, he was almost my favorite outright. I'll save that. I know you're going to ask me that in a minute.
Yeah, I certainly will. It's almost like you've done this show before. Len Hochberg, how far down the salary board are you going to go here for a long shot?
A couple of guys under 8,000, Brendan Todd at 7,900 and Aaron Rye. Todd was 8th here last year. Aaron Rye been making the cuts at all the toughest events, Phoenix, Riviera, Bay Hill. He's coming off a top 20 at the Players, and this is without a putter. The guy is outside the top 150 in strokes gained putting. Otherwise, he is really elite tee to green. If he can just go from horrible to mediocre, he could really make a dent. I like Ben Martin as well. And also at 6,900, Kazuki Higa coming over from Japan. He has a special invite to the Masters next week. One of only 2 to get that. Japanese star, 4 wins last year in Asia. He's played some PGA Tour events, made the cut at the Sony, 36th at the Zozo last year. I'm very interested to see what he does this week and next week as well.
Jesse, I was just going to say, find someone who loves you the way Len Hochberg loves Brendan Todd. I'm just throwing it out there. We did a podcast together for a long time. There were a lot of Brendan Todd mentions on that podcast, Len.
Absolutely. And he's done it okay sometimes. Not in the best field. So this is where I like him, and not in the bigger events. But you know me too well, Jason.
I don't dislike it.
All right, Len, I'm assuming he's not your pick to win. So who is it?
He is not, and I think I'm about to step on Jason's toes or something, because we were talking about Davis Riley. Davis Riley, there was no Valero Texas Open in 2020, but there was a Corn Ferry tournament at the Oaks course at TPC San Antonio in 2020, and Davis Riley won it. And here he is again. He's got a real blind spot flaw in his game. Strokes gained around the green, really, really bad. And that really can impact whether you win or not. But I guess the way to counter that is to just get the ball on the green so you won't be having to scramble and stuff. So I like Davis Riley a lot this week. I think he's 9,500, right in that range.
All right, Jay, who's your pick to win?
I really like Davis Riley. He's probably my second guy on the list. I'll have a big investment in him this week, but it's another Davis, Cam Davis, that I'm going after. I was very bullish on him coming into the year. He started out terribly, though, after making the cut at the Sony Open. He missed 5 in a row. As it turns out, he had an illness. He could not get healthy for a while. It was hurting his practice schedule. He was lethargic on the golf course, came back at the Players, finished in 6th place at the Players, went 2-1 at the match play last week, made 11 birdies in those final 2 matches, wins against Aaron Wise and Tom Hoge. Really like Cam Davis. I didn't see the number there. I think it's still lingering right around 50-1 on the DraftKings board. I love that number for Cam Davis, who's proven that he can win a PGA Tour event in the past.
Jason, before you guys take off, let's get an early look at the Masters next week, which Gary Player has ranked as the worst of the 4 majors. Which guys in the field, I know, I see, it was disappointing for me too. Which guys in the field next week have your attention right now, Jay?
Yeah, I think it's got to be in the top 3, first of all. But
Yep.
I'm looking at guys right now, and Len has already ranked the field. I'm still working on it. We were talking about it before we came on here. I've certainly got Jordan Spieth up there on my list. I've got Rory McIlroy, Scotty Scheffler, no surprise, and Patrick Cantlay and Tony Finau, who've played really good golf without the really good results so far this year. Those guys are probably rounding out the top 5 for me. Unless I change my mind in the next few days, which is very possible it can happen. But I'm looking right now at, like I said, McIlroy, Scheffler, Spieth, Cantlay, and Finau in some sort of order for the top 5.
All right, Len, what about you?
Yeah, I think those are the usual suspects. And Rory, of course, playing very well, coming in. What could possibly go wrong at Augusta National? I just envision Lucy holding the football, and this is the time that Charlie Brown finally will get to kick it, and Rory McIlroy will complete the Grand Slam. Who knows how that'll play out? Well, we know what Lucy does. And my goodness, the live guys, 18 live guys, that is just a storyline that is just going to be, golf Twitter will go nuclear next week with all the live guys there, and I'm sure we'll talk more about that.
Oh, yeah, I cannot wait. Next Wednesday's edition of The Sweat, by the way, is going to be all Masters. So go ahead, put it in your calendar right now, baby.
Cannot wait. But as for now, we are done.
Yes,
that is the show. We will be back tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. We'll see you then.